Good afternoon. It's Friday, March 3rd. We just had our Zoom conference yesterday, and so I want to invite you to probably the very shortest of all introductory videos for the entire semester. We're looking at chapter 26 of Decker's Reading Koine Greek, which is about the genitive absolute construction and periphrastic. Both of these are constructions with participles, but I think you will agree with me that they are pretty easy. So let's get to work. First off, the genitive absolute is the Sunday school answer to any Greek syntax question. Actually, that's not true. But just as there's a belief that the correct answer to any question in Sunday school is Jesus, there are some who believe that the answer to any question about Greek syntax is, it's a genitive absolute. Both of those beliefs are wrong. And so let's talk about what the genitive absolute construction is. The name genitive absolute comes from the fact that this construction stands alone, that it is absolute or apart from the syntax of the rest of the sentence. Now, to have a genitive absolute construction, you need four elements. First, you have a noun or pronoun, a substantive, that is in the genitive case. You have an anarthrous participle, also in the genitive case. There will be no grammatical connection with the rest of the sentence or the main clause of the sentence, but there will be a thought connection with the sentence. I like to use the description that the genitive absolute provides background information. So let's look at some examples. Both of these are taken from Decker's text. John 2:3. Que usteresandos inu, legi emeter tu Jesu prosafton, inon uk echusin. Okay, the genitive participle there is highlighted in red, isteresandos. The genitive noun or pronoun is inu. And notice that those three words, the first three words of that verse, really are not connected to the main part of the sentence. The main part of the sentence begins with legi emeter tu Jesu prosafton inon uk echusin. So the main clause of John 2:3, Jesus' mother says, or the mother of Jesus says to him, they don't have any wine. Okay? So the genitive absolute provides background information separate from that. The genitive noun, inu, functions as if it were the subject of the participle. And so you might translate this, and wine lacking, okay? Then Jesus' mother says to him, they don't have any wine. The second example, Galatians 3:25 says, Elthouses de pisteos, ukete upo pedagogon esmen. The genitive absolute, the genitive participle there is elthouses. The genitive noun is pisteos. And so this is saying something apart from the main clause, which says, we are no longer under the tutor. And so it says, but when faith had come, faith being the subject of the participle, the verbal idea of the participle, elthouses, but when faith came, that's the background information, we are no longer under the tutor. Now notice when you've got a genitive absolute construction, it is apart, it is absolute from the main clause of the sentence. Necessarily you have a change of subject. In John 2, wine is the subject of is lacking, but the subject of the main clause is the mother, and she is saying. In the second example, the subject of the participle is faith is coming. The subject of the main clause is we, and it's encoded inside that verb esmen. We are not any longer under a tutor. One more thing that we need to consider is a periphrastic participle construction. I've taken this text directly from section 27.8. A periphrastic is a grammatical circumlocution, a roundabout way of saying something that could be said more directly. The periphrastic construction uses a linking verb, usually some form of imi, and a participle together instead of just a finite verb alone. The two elements can be in either order, but the most common is for the verb to precede the participle, about 70% of the time in the New Testament, which will always be an arthrous and nominative. There's no difference in meaning between the equivalent finite verb and the periphrastic. It is just another way to say it. And so we've got this chart that shows the combination of the linking verb with the participles and the resultant finite tense form equivalent. And so I put an example here. You can see that there are two future tense forms of imi and two future middle passive participles. And so right there in the stative column at the bottom, the third column from the left, you've got the future with a stative participle, and that becomes a future perfect construction. As soon as you see these, we'll see these in our New Testament reading. You will recognize them readily. So that's it for chapter 27. I wish you the best. I'll see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.